announcement. In accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act, notice of the public meeting has been sent to deliver to the Star Major and Home newspaper and posted on the Middlesex County website, as well as on the community bulletin board of the Middlesex County Administration Bulletin building at least 48 hours in advance of the meeting. Madam Secretary, roll call please.
Designated Chairperson Amat Patel.
Here.
Commissioner Charles Kennedy.
Here.
Ronald Sanders.
Here.
Michael Kolbasowski.
Here.
Dr. Shuru Javinda.
Here.
Satya Chadalavada.
Here.
Alternate Joseph Johnson.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum. The alternates are eligible to vote today.
Thank you. The open public discussions of this item listed on the agenda only, and motion to close the public portion by voice vote. Is there anyone going to speak at the open public meeting, please?
Agenda items only?
Yeah, agenda.
No, thank you.
Can I motion to close the public portion?
Motion to close the public portion.
Do I have a vote to close the vote?
Second.
Second. Do I have a vote to close the open public session?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passed. Correspondence? None. Number C item is planning board directors. Should you have?
Chairman? Pardon me, we missed the meeting minutes.
Can I go back to the item 3 of the administration, item A? Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the dated April 8, 2025?
Motion to accept the meeting minutes.
Second.
Can I have to approve the minutes?
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Minutes passed. Thank you. Planning board's directors' reports and presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have 3 items on my report today. The first item is the 2025 public outreach events. Middlesex County Office of Planning has kick-started the 2025 public outreach events, which we started doing a couple of years back in lieu of the Transportation Coordination Committee, or the PCC. As part of that strategy, we piggyback on already scheduled events within the municipalities and set up a table to provide information to residents and field questions. Our first event was last week at the Plainsboro Founders Day celebration on Saturday, May 3rd, 2025, where Office of Planning staff tabled at the event. We are now looking for more local events and expect to get several this spring and summer. Second item on my report is the New Jersey State Plan cross-acceptance process. We have our consultant Kristen Russell from Collier's Engineering and Design here today, who will provide a status update on the state development and redevelopment plan cross-acceptance process. That presentation will be part of the new business agenda item on our agenda.
Sure.
Third item on my report is the road safety audits. As I have previously reported to this board, the Middlesex County Office of Planning has been working on road safety audits for 5 corridors, which are Stelton Road or County Road Route 529, Riders Lane or County Route 617, Amboy Avenue, County Route 653, Plainfield Avenue, County Route 529, and Ernston Road, County Route 673. For this project, Stantec is our consulting firm that has been assisting us on this project. As we are nearing the work on this, on the road safety audits, we have Astha Negi from the Office of Planning and Joseph Amoroso, the traffic engineering lead from Stantec here today, who will walk us through the key findings and recommendations of the project. That's the end of my report, sir.
Do I have a motion to consider that to the planning director's report, please?
Motion to accept the report.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Do I vote to approve the reports?
Aye.
Thank you. We have a vote to approve. Old business, we have none. The new business, we have a presentation from the.
The first presentation is on the state plan cross-acceptance
Yes.
by Kristen Russell.
Can I have a- Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Afternoon, actually. My name is Kristen Russell. I'm with Collier's Engineering and Design, and we were retained to help the county with the state's cross-acceptance planning process. And I'm here today to give you an update on where things are at and take any questions if you have them. I'm not going to read all of the words on the slide, but just as background, New Jersey has a state plan which guides the planning and guides municipalities and counties as to how they should plan. The last one was done in 2001, and a draft of the new plan came out in 2024. We're now going through the process of sharing that with municipalities and counties and making sure that they are all in agreement, and where there is disagreement, to try to sort that out. Cross-acceptance is a process of comparing statewide planning policies to local and regional plans for consistency. Cross-acceptance requires municipal input. That's where we are. Middlesex County acts as a link or negotiating entity between the municipalities and the state. So we are collecting feedback from the municipalities, putting it into a report, gathering that data, and then sending it off to the state so that we can, they don't want to collect 500 and whatever it is, municipal responses, so they're doing it on a county by county level. This is the process. The State Planning Commission releases the preliminary plan that was done, and public outreach meetings have begun. We're now working as negotiating entities to produce statements of agreement and disagreement, and that will be in the report that I will be compiling to send off to the state. Once that's done, there's been conversations between the state and the negotiating entities. They will perhaps make some amendments and revisions to that plan. That will again be distributed and ultimately adopted as the final plan. My role, is to assist with technical aspects of the cross-acceptance responses, review those responses, prepare reports, and do things like I'm doing right now, presenting to you and telling you the work that we're doing. We did have some training sessions and interactions with municipalities at the beginning of April, and hopefully between then and now, the municipalities are working on their end to compile their responses. I got ahead of myself. We introduced municipalities to the process, we gave them some training, we told them about the deadlines. We had 24 attendees from 11 municipalities attend that training. And their responses are due at the end of this week. So we're right on the brink of hopefully finding out what they have to say. There are two platforms, two types of responses that the municipalities are giving us. The first is called a CART. It stands for Cross Acceptance Response Template. And this is a form that they fill out and they answer a bunch of questions that were created by the state. As to their consistency and their own goals and vision and that sort of thing. And the second component is a map. And they are given a website using GIS where they can graphically draw where they think that map changes need to take place in order to best reflect the existing conditions and the appropriate designation of parts of their municipality. While we wait for the municipalities to give us their responses, the county has been busy working on their own responses to reflect the broader countywide consistency with the state plan. The state plan has a number of goals, and the county has identified ways in which each of those goals are consistent within your existing planning documents. So that includes master plans, that includes farmland preservation, all of your planning documents. And the county did a great job at summarizing your existing planning documents and demonstrating how that consistency can be seen in those documents. And it's really great that you have such consistency already, because frankly, the state plan didn't exist when you wrote your documents. So you couldn't have intentionally necessarily been consistent with them. It just goes to show that the vision that the state has and that the county has have for many years been aligned. And with this new state plan, you're already positioned well in that regard. I just took very brief examples, one example for each state plan goal to show how you are consistent. And I'm going to just breeze through them quickly. One of the state plan goals is equity. As one example, your farmland preservation plan seeks to support farmers and remove barriers to farming success. A climate change goal. Your draft Invest Smart plan directs the county to avoid development in flood zones and other hazardous areas, for example. The natural water and resources goal. Your master plan has a goal of achieving amenity in living and working environments through conservation and preservation of nature. And there's a goal for pollution and environmental cleanup. And your transportation plan seeks to encourage improved energy efficiency of vehicles, reducing vehicle miles traveled, and converting to hybrid vehicles, so on. There is a revitalization and recentering goal, and your Destination 2040 plan seeks to advance local redevelopment and neighborhood revitalization efforts. There's an economic development goal, and again, your 2040 strategic plan seeks to help businesses start, stay, and grow here. There's a housing goal. Your 2040 strategic plan has a goal to increase the supply of affordable, accessible housing options. As it relates to the infrastructure goal, your Forward Together 2024 plan identifies infrastructure priorities of mobility and equitable access. As it relates to historic and scenic resources, your open space and recreation plan prioritizes providing a public system of major parks and open spaces that forever preserves sufficient land and to accommodate a variety of recreational activities. And the final goal of comprehensive planning, your Destination 2040 seeks to foster sound and integrated planning with the intent to develop a strategic investment framework to guide infrastructure and preservation decisions. Now, I know I ran through them very fast, but it's just to illustrate that there are many goals and you have many plans, and in many ways they are consistent with each other. I can't possibly go through all of them now, but hopefully these examples make you comfortable with this consistency idea. Where it comes to map edits, the county has also completed, I believe completed, their corrections to the existing state plan map, and unbelievably found about 600 changes. Some of these are very small, but there are 600 of them. And that will be submitted to the state in map form and tabular form. And you don't need to necessarily read the details that are before you, but the table gives a label, a number label to each change, and then says what and why that change is, and then you can cross-reference the map to see where it falls on the map. So here's the timeline of this process. We are where the yellow star is on May 13th, public meeting on state plan cross-acceptance. The next step will be May 30th, and that's when we are prepared to submit the draft of our response, the CART and mapping changes. As I said, the county has already pulled together their responses, and we're waiting for municipal responses at the end of this week. And as soon as they're in my hands, I will start compiling them into this document so that it's all set to go at the end of the month. And that's the status update on the state plan cross-acceptance.
Thank you, Kristen. If I can add a couple of things to address this board. So, one thing to note here is that the reason why we are so aligned to the state plan is the effort that the county put into the Destination 2040 strategic planning process, and all of the functional plans, including the farmland preservation plan and the bicycle and pedestrian plan, and all of the other plans that came out of that process. We are perfectly placed to be entirely in compliance with whatever goals have been put together in the state plan. I want to make that comment first. Second, regarding the map changes, the reason we have almost 600 map changes is because the state is using the layers for the various development areas within the state plan that dates back to the 1970s. and those layers have not been updated. And in this time frame, multiple new developments have come into being within the communities in Middlesex County, which are not reflected as developed areas because the layers were not updated by the state. And we know those developments have come into place because we go through the development review process. Also, we go through the sewer service area amendments process. So most of those edits are coming from there. We feel that the collection of 600 updates that we are submitting to the state bring us to the current state of affairs of the county. And another comment I want to make on the timeline is that today we are presenting a status update on the draft findings. Obviously, these are not complete because we will be getting the comments from the municipalities by the end of this week. We will submit a draft report to the state on May 30th, but then we'll be coming back to the planning board next month with our final report, which we will seek approval from the board for submittal to the Office of Planning Advocacy at the state. The Board of County Commissioners has already approved us to, or the planning board as the approving entity for that final report. So we are in a good spot at this point. Once we seek approval from the planning board and that final report is approved, we can go ahead and submit it to the state. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Thank you for your report. Any question the board member has in for the Christian?
I just have a quick, I think you partly answered the question. This is from Mr. Rajvanshi. You said that the master plan since 1970 has not been updated, and that's why you have 600 plus amendments just from the county of Middlesex, because obviously it's been a while. So I just wanted to understand that as per the presentation, Natural and Water Resources Master Plan, which was initiated in the 1970, it has never been changed, updated, and we have been, the county has been following that.
That's not what I was saying.
Okay.
What I was saying was that the state is using layers within the state planning and development and redevelopment plan, and these layers are layers which have not been updated in the past 30 plus years.
Okay.
So those are the layers that we are updating.
So there have been some updates, but those have
Not
not
at
been
the state.
a state got. Okay.
Thank you. Anybody has any questions?
I just have a quick question. How many municipalities are you waiting on still?
So we had all of them. Not all of them attended training. However, there's not a requirement that they attend training. A municipality could very well choose to submit on their own if they figure it out by, reading the manual on their own, so to speak. I would not expect that you will have 100% participation, but we have sent out reminders on a fairly regular basis, and we're hoping to get the best turnout that we can.
Thank you.
To add to that, the state had, like Kristen mentioned, the state does not have a requirement for all municipalities to participate in this process. Obviously, they are encouraged to do so. If a municipality decides not to participate, they are by default assumed to be in compliance or aligned to the state plan. But if they don't, even if they attended the trainings that our team provided, if they don't respond to the cart or the map templates, then there's not much we can do. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Thank you, Christian.
Thank you.
for your report and presentation. The next item on the agenda is DRC report by Catherine Desmond, the supervisor.
Mr. Chairman, the next item is actually the road safety audits update.
Oh,
Presentation. Pass that.
Hello. Good afternoon, members of Planning Board. I'm Astaniki. I'm the Senior Transportation Planner here at the Planning Office, and I'm the Project Manager for the Road Safety Audits Initiative. So, quick introduction about the road safety audits project. It is part of our Middlesex County's Vision Zero initiative. This project is funded through NJTPA's Sub-Regional Studies Program and is led by our consultant Stantec and their sub-consultants Michael Baker and Mercer Funding Associates. So to present the contents of our project, I would like to welcome Joseph Armorosa, PEPTOT from Stantec, who will be our sub for Matthew Meher, who could not be here today. Joe would cover the agenda and the road safety audits project details. And with that, I would like to invite Joe to take this presentation forward.
Thank you, Asma. As mentioned, I'll be giving an overview of the road safety audit project, which we have done so far, what we've heard from the public, concepts we have designed, and what's next for the project. An initial list of 20 roadways corridors were considered based on an NJTPA screening of poor roadway safety, using input from our technical advisory committee and a scoring system that combined crash frequency, crash severity, equity, and previous legwork that was done. We whittled down those 20 roadway corridors to top 5 to be audited as part of our project. All this was done under the umbrella of the Middlesex County's Vision Zero Action Plan, aimed at reducing fatal and serious injury crashes for all roadway users. Road safety audits, or RSAs for short, follow a easily repeatable 8-step process. Currently, we're at step number 7. We've completed our public and stakeholder outreach. The final report with the proposed recommendations is currently under review. You may be asking what's the difference between an RSA and a traditional safety review. An RSA is intended to be truly a multidisciplinary project, bringing together engineers and planners and all your local stakeholders, including unelected officials. If it's a school safety group, if it's a neighborhood watch group or whatever, depending on where the project falls. It also gets engineers out of the office to see problems firsthand and talking to the people actually impacted by roadway safety. If it's the people that live there, if it's the people that work there, or just people passing through. And road safety audits account for human factor issues as part of our design and recommendations. This is just a map of Middlesex County highlighting the 5 areas we looked at. It's just a quick review of each 5. First is the worst, County Route 529, Stelton Road in Piscataway and South Plainfield. Roadway in general is 2 lanes in each direction, spanning across Interstate 287. Observations from our field walk included high vehicle speeds, long crosswalks, difficult sight distances, gaps in the sidewalk, and numerous driveways. In general, it was an uncomfortable walking experience, with high truck volumes right up against the curb and sidewalk with no grass buffers. I forgot to mention that as part of our data collection, we set up cameras to record video that a computer could apply an algorithm to count the number of near misses based on time-space criteria. You'll see some left-turning traffic and people trying to pass through. Traditionally, looking at accident data that's recordable crashes, these aren't recordable events. There's no police record, there's no spreadsheet we get. But that's somebody whose heart just stopped because they almost got clipped. And this is just a more comprehensive look at the project area, giving us a better picture of the safety issues we may be trying to fix.
Can I just ask you a question here? Do we wait for the whole presentation?
Wait for the.
Okay, thank you.
For Stelton Road, we came up with a list of recommendations, including some restriping, connecting the sidewalks, and some signal timing improvements at particular locations. In general, we recommend a fleeting pedestrian interval for all the signalized intersections. That's where a pedestrian gets to walk before the green goes for turning vehicles. No turn on red, hopefully to slow down and ultimately stop people who are trying to make a right on red. And just filling in gaps in the sidewalk network so people are on the sidewalk and not in the road. Moving on to a different segment, County Route 529. This is Plainfield Ave and Edison. This corridor that we looked at is, in general, one lane in each direction, crossing Route 27 and Route 1, with their both fun intersections to try to navigate as a pedestrian. Existing conditions also include a mix of commercial and residential land uses with numerous driveways throughout. Along the walk, we encountered several typical issues. If it was just pedestrian signal heads that are out of date, that they're not the countdown type telling how long to cross. At commercial properties, the sidewalk and their parking lots kind of blend together. Sidewalk areas where it has started to fall apart, and utility poles right in the middle of the sidewalk, requiring pedestrians to either step around into private property or step into the road. Again, we set up a camera. This is at the Greenwood Ave intersection, which is only 200 feet north of Route 27, where traffic backs up at all hours of the day. You see here we have a pedestrian kind of wandering across the road. But again, this just gives us a view of the unquantifiable, but here you have someone cutting across, pretty close call there. There you go. So just more.
That's not a good day.
Do not block the box has a purpose. I'm not saying it doesn't, but this intersection can get pretty hairy because of how traffic backs up and the choices that people need to bicyclists on the sidewalk. So just specifically for recommendations at the Greenwood Ave and Route 27, we can considered fully blocking off so people couldn't cut through on Greenwood, making it a true right in, right out, and better delineation of the lane drop so traffic appropriately merges both northbound and southbound. For the corridor in general, we recommend a edge striping, which slows down vehicle speeds, and where feasible, we recommend bike lane if the curb width allows. Where land use and properties allow, we also recommend consolidation of driveway access points. Moving on to number 3, County Route 653. This is Amway Ave and First Amway. For existing conditions, the north half is mainly residential land use, and while the south half is mainly commercial or mixed use. The roadway segment is flat in the middle next to the Alpine Cemetery, but has a bit of a slope at the north and south end. The RSA walk found a handful of issues with non-compliant and missing signage and a utility pole right in the middle of a curb ramp. Again, here's the near miss video. This is at the intersection of Amway Ave with Waltros Ave and Lawrence Street, just north of the bridge over 440. Here, a pedestrian is going to wander out of the crosswalk. And cut short, that is a human factor we issue if we deal with their turning vehicles and pedestrian. So again, it's not a reportable incident, but a safety concern that we need to be aware of. As far as our recommendations specifically at these 2 intersections on each side of 440, upgrades to the pedestrian signal heads at both. Left turn phasing is recommended. That separates pedestrians and vehicles in time and space. So vehicles get to go while pedestrians are supposed to be stopped on the curb, and then pedestrians get to go while those left turning vehicles are supposed to be stopped fully. Corridor wide, we recommend daylighting at some of the downtown intersections. That's where you block off right at the curb physically, so no delivery van can park, no one can park their car for 5 minutes. That allows for better sight distance to pedestrians crossing, parallel with Amboy Ave. Bike lanes where feasible in the curb width and the shared use symbol, the share out, where bikes could be in the lane shared with vehicles. And pedestrian scale lighting, typically, traditionally, roadway projects had high mass lighting, like at an interchange or a parking lot. Pedestrian scale is to specifically for the pedestrians. Promotes safety as they interact with the cars and more visible. It also has benefits just for general neighborhood safety because people are more visible, they're more comfortable, and they're just going to walk around more. Moving on to number 4. So County Route 617, this is Riders Lane in East Brunswick and Middlesex. Existing conditions include high vehicle speeds on 4-lane hilly roadway with limited sidewalk. Kind of all not a good combination. High speeds make it difficult to turn in and out of a residential driveway where you're coming immediately to a stop. And gaps in the sidewalk push people to make unsafe choices. Do you try to hug that wall and risk tripping into the road, or do you just walk in the road? This is a view of Riders Lane at the Washington Ave and Tyson's Lane intersection. The skewed intersection results in some long left turn paths, opposite of the high-speed traffic coming at you. Some people trying to run yellow light to make it. When you're taking a chance on a left turn, are you aware of the crosswalk and possible pedestrian that's kind of, it's not your blind spot, but the color of your car's right there. Our recommendations kind of try to improve these conditions, even if there wasn't a quantifiable accident that made it apparent. Specifically at this light, we recommend restriping the crosswalks so they're more visible, high visibility type. More paint on the road makes people more aware there might be a pedestrian there. Also stop here on red signs. There's 2 channelized right turns to make sure people stop before the crosswalk. And a separate left turn phase again to separate pedestrians, vehicles, and time and space. Corridor wide, we recommend consolidation of any driveways to 1 access point per property. Target enforcement and traffic calming to get people to drive the speed limit if possible. And better sidewalk coverage, just filling in gaps where there is gaps in the sidewalk network. And last but not least, County Route 673, Princeton Road and Washington Road in Sayreville and Old Bridge. In general, this corridor is 1 lane each direction with sidewalk on both sides. The corridor has schools at both ends. At the end of the corridor, the intersection with Bordentown Ave and Route 9, the roadway actually widens out 2 lanes in each direction. That results in some very long crosswalks and long crossing times. But there's a few pleasant surprises. There's bus shelters, there's continuous sidewalk, and there's some recent roadway improvements. But there's still the typical safety issues of poor quality sidewalk that's crumbled to just gravel and hectic traffic conditions. This is the view of the Ernston and Washington intersection, adjacent to the high school in the JFK Park and just down the street from the Sayreville Library. This intersection has 2 channelized right turns resulting in big radius, a lot of bus traffic. We observed some long trucks passing through, and obviously a lot of pedestrian traffic when the kids are walking to school. Another left turn, almost that clipped. Pedestrians just wandering through, not sure who has the right of way, but here, dragon child. So specifically at that intersection, we recommend signing and striping and curb improvements at the school driveway across from the park and the school drive road at Ernston Road. We recommend some curb improvements to reduce the radius and make crosswalks shorter at the signalized intersection and at Marywood Lane. The two green squares as shown are proposed rectangular rapid flashing beacons. Those are pedestrian warning signs with the solar-powered strobing yellow lights that turn on when a pedestrian pushes a button. In general, we recommend the striping of a bike lane where possible and adding an edge line at least to slow down vehicle traffic. While the existing sidewalk was continuous, there were several locations that had crumbled and were in poor condition, and pedestrians were either forced to walk directly next to the curb. Public engagement for this project was headed up by our team member, Courtney Mercer from Mercer Planning Associates. They had a broad approach to get information from anybody impacted by the safety conditions of the selected roadway corridors. The old way public meetings may have heavily engaged one segment of the population, while some folks were unintentionally ignored. By hearing from some new voices, we've been able to paint a more complete picture of the existing conditions and what safety improvements may be needed. There's a combined look at all our public engagement for the 5 roadway corridors. We held a few open houses to get the public's opinion on their feelings and priorities. This allows us to put a number to their subjective concerns. Different people have different concerns, and it depends on the project area, if they live directly adjacent to it or if they're just in the general neighborhood. This is another way to quantify some of those anecdotal evidence. Those old folks who sit on their porch all day, what do they see that our data isn't telling us? And do they see the kids run across trying to get to school? Do they see people trying to cut through their neighborhood? Traffic counts don't always tell us that. Poster boards with sticky notes are very effective at getting some of the public input. Boots on the ground and letting in ear are definitely effective. We used our whole project team to ask questions, listen, and explain what we're hoping to achieve. We also went to where people would be. Some people don't have the time or aren't able to come to a public meeting, depending on the time of day, day of the week. So we packed up our stuff, and we went to the Easter egg hunt in Perth Amboy. So we've done all this work on identifying safety challenges and opportunities. We've spoken to the elected officials and residents about what they want to see change. Our next steps are always keep communities connected and engage our stakeholders, and get some of these recommendations in the pipeline for short-term improvements, if it's maintenance upgrades or otherwise. Just what we can do as quickly as possible to get quantifiable safety improvements. But for some of the big ticket items, we still have the job of trying to identify if it's matching grant opportunities, specific process or avenue for getting our long-term improvements also out there in the field for people to see the improvements of and live with. All under the umbrella, again, expanding safe infrastructure for everybody. Immediately in the short term, in 2 days is our last technical advisory committee meeting to springboard stakeholder collaboration, and this study wraps up at the end of next month. If you have any questions tomorrow, you can reach out to ASTA, but if you have any questions right now, all ears. So, thank you.
Thanks. So you have a question?
Yes. Thank you so much for your presentation. A lot of questions, a lot of concerns, obviously, because of the safety issue of the highways, and we live in an area where fatalities, unfortunately, tragically, are a commonality, in fact. I mean, it is not something which takes us by surprise. We just shake our heads and we just tragically try to cope with that. You said that there was a criteria to select those 5 county routes that you had. So once you had, and you briefly mentioned what the criteria were, equity and frequency and all of the data which was considered while selecting those 5 routes. And you also said that you took public comment as well in mind while selecting those 5 routes. Did you?
The public comment was as part of our audit process.
Okay. Not selection.
Correct, not the selection.
So selection was just data driven by your firm without any input from the public?
Input, we got input from the technical advisory committee to prioritize equity versus crash severity
Sure.
versus crash occurrence. Not to skew any numbers, but to
Be very objective, yeah.
to have a handful rise to the top versus, we had to pick 5, we couldn't do all 20.
Of course, yeah, right. So it was data driven, so the selection of those 5 was data driven, right? Okay, so that's perfectly fine, no issues over there. Because I'm just trying to understand how you came up with those 5, because we are in the middle of an area which has like, every road has something going on. So data driven, those 5 you picked, and after that you went through, you gave a very good account of what you did and all of that. And the public comment you took while you were going back to those 5 already selected, and you were asking people how to improve those things, right?
Correct.
Excellent. So when those 5 were selected, each 5 of them individually, you reached out to those locations, had some meetings where you had post-its, you had people show up. On site as well you went and people told you, okay, this is a problem, anecdotal, however, right?
Yes.
Okay. The videos that you were showing were extremely, illustrative for somebody like me who's a completely non-technical person. And you said that one data point, very important data point, is the actual crash, which is reportable incidents. And then the whole idea of that video was to try to capture the near misses, which is, you use the term unquantifiable in that. When you were making those final assessments, were you somehow able to quantify the unquantifiable near misses, because now you have a video evidence of that?
I can answer to that. To some degree, yes. But also, I think just the process of road safety audits, it is supposed to be people first. So when we were saying that we are trying to identify unquantifiable data, it started with us walking the corridor itself and quantifying what we cannot quantify through data. So we understand through data that yes, this is the high injury network. So all these 5 corridors were on our high injury network, which is part of our Vision Zero action plan. So they were identified in that, and then we had additional information through NJTPA's screening list, and then we kind of layered those layers of data, but then that's just the base of it, right? So our road safety audit started when we started walking the corridor with a multidisciplinary team. It had the planners, it had the engineers, it had the police, local police, it had the local people from the municipality. So it was a mixed group, and then that is how we started quantifying that, hey, do you feel safe walking around this area? If not, what is it that's not making you feel safe? For example, we took pictures of the sidewalks, right? So that's something that you cannot necessarily quantify just through looking at crash data. That a crash needs to happen. That is more of a reactive measure almost to injuries or to crashes. But we are trying to be proactive. So that is part of it. The near misses, that we can quantify that data in our audits itself. But in addition to that, it is also the qualitative data that we produced through the walk audits itself.
Okay, got it. So you had a combination of the quantifiable, unquantifiable, then you also walk the walk. Literally speaking, you walk the walk with a group of people, multidisciplinary, all kinds of people joining you in that group and giving input about that.
Yes.
Okay, good. So that I completely understand, and you cite the examples of the blocked drainages and the sidewalks which are not accessible. The wall is right next to it, so either you make a decision of hugging the wall and walking, or maybe tripping on something like that. the video is an incredibly powerful tool, and you were able to get that video. Like, how many hours on an average did you decide that, okay, we are going to record this intersection for X number of hours? Any idea on that?
I don't have the number on top of my head, but it is at least 7 days. So
Okay, 7 days. Every intersection that you you picked up, you had 7 days of continuous recording, day and night of that. Okay, so that gives you a really good idea. Rush hour, off rush hour, peak, off peak, and all those kind of things. Excellent. Were you able to use any of the AI tools in trying to help you with the algorithms or the thresholds that you had set up?
So the near miss video that you
Yeah.
saw,
Mhm.
that is technically AI.
Yeah.
The AI is able to predict the time span.
Correct.
So the near miss is quantified by the time between when two vehicles cross each other.
Right.
So if it is below, so we had 3 categories in it. It was 0.1 second, 0.2 second, 0.3 second. Those categories. And if it is if the time between the two vehicles crossing is 0, that's when a crash happens.
Of course.
So we did use AI in that. That is part of the
Okay.
AI part.
Good. And all 5 sites, you had 7 days of data, video recording and analysis, with using some tools that you have pointed out. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Doctor. Anybody has the question? Yeah, just go ahead.
Yeah, just wanted to thank you guys for the presentation. And I had a quick question about the Greenwood Ave and Route 27 potential recommendations. So, would the intended crosswalk be crossing through Greenwood Ave, or would it be crossing through Plainfield Avenue?
The crosswalk parallel with Plainfield Ave
Okay.
is currently not striped.
Okay.
We're not proposing a new crosswalk across.
So there's already one that exists.
It should exist, it's just not striped.
And my other question is, with the one way that's going down Greenwood Ave, the intended one way, is the intention for it to stop at, I know this is like out of the scope of what's in the picture here, but I know the street's pretty well around there. Is the intention for it to stop at Pole Place or go all the way down to Division Street, which is another one way?
I don't have it on top of my head right now, but I can get back to you if that is okay.
Yeah, that's perfect. Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, board. Anybody has a question? Yes, Chief.
So when you do the walk audits, you also still bring bicycles, wheelchairs, other uses that people might, other mobility uses that people might have in that area?
So it is ideal, but for this walk, we only walked the audit.
Okay.
But we did look at trip hazards. So when we were walking, we made sure that we looked at, if somebody was riding a wheelchair, what would the challenges be on the sidewalk itself?
Okay.
So we did consider that, but we did not bring a wheelchair.
I know they've been used in the past, that's why I was asking this if yours good. Okay, thank you.
When we were out in Sayreville, we did have a handful of senior citizens with us.
Okay.
Right. In one of your pictures that you showed in your slide, there is a picture of a wheelchair crossing, a person in a wheelchair all by himself, because it looks like a male person, all by himself trying to cross pedestrian crossing on a wheelchair. And I mean, to me, looks quite hairy that, a guy unassisted is on a wheelchair, and you have that picture. Somehow you captured that image and you put it in your slide. So an excellent point by Chairman Kenny, because that accessibility and that mobility is crucial for a lot of citizens, unfortunately.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you. Anybody has a question for the board, please? No? Thank you very much for the presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next item of the agenda is DRC report by the Secretary Chairman Puranio, our supervisor. Please.
Alright, hello, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
So good afternoon, members. My name is Katie. I'm going to go over for you the April Development Overview Report, which you can see on the last page of the Planning Board attachments, which is tab 4. That helps. Starting with Table 1, applications on the monthly DRC agenda. There were 16 applications in April with 9 site plans, 2 minor subdivisions, 1 final subdivision for extensions. For reference, there were 22 applications on the agenda in April 2024. 2024 and 2025 came out almost even if you exclude the extensions from that count. Table 2, development activities for approved or conditionally approved applications. You can see there were 12 new residential lots created, 9 single-family residential units proposed as part of 2 final subdivision applications, as well as 3 new non-residential lots. And then you can just see as part of the site plan applications, the square footage is listed there. Moving on to Table 3, highlights of development for April. The first one, is HB Warehousing LLC in Old Bridge. It proposed a 520,000 square foot warehouse building on Old Waterworks Road, and this is not a county road. Number 2, Brightview East Brunswick Urban Renewal LLC in East Brunswick proposed a senior assisted living and memory care facility on Riders Lane and Cranberry Road, both of which are county roads. The applicants will be required to provide sidewalks along Cranberry Road, which will connect into existing sidewalks to the north of the site, as well as partial sidewalk along Riders Lane. And as usual, ADA certification will be required for the frontage improvements post-construction. And then finally, number 3, Costco wholesale campus improvements in Monroe proposed several improvements to their existing warehouse, including additional cold storage and a break room in Stanton, and this was a non-county road application. And then lastly, Table 4, exempt site plans. The staff processed 4 exempt site plans in April. Notably was a mixed-use building in South Plainfield with 6 residential units, and the renovation of an existing commercial building on George Street in New Brunswick. Are there any questions?
Any question for Katie? Thank you. Can I have a motion to consider the approval of the report?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Can I have a vote to approve?
Aye.
Thank you, motion passed. Any other correspondence? So, none.
The next, Mr. Chairman, the next meeting of the planning board is on, and development review committee is on June 10th.
Right, please note it. Thank you. Now we are open for the public comments. I have a motion to open the public.
Motion to open the public portion of the meeting.
Second? Second. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Charlie Granville, I'm the editor of New Brunswick Today, community news outlet.
You have 5 minutes to present.
Thank you, Chairman. I am here recording today's meeting, and we'll share out the video on the New Brunswick Today YouTube channel for folks who couldn't be here. I wanted to commend the county and the folks that were involved in the road safety audits. It seems like really important work that was done well, and I want to make sure that these recommendations get implemented. So I wanted to ask what the process and plans are to implement those recommendations. Obviously, there's some things the county can just do if it chooses. What is going to be the process for getting these implemented?
I can take that question, Mr. Chairman. Hi, Charlie. So the process is we are constantly looking for funding opportunities for projects like these. We currently have the US DOT's Safe Streets for All funding opportunity open. And so out of the 5 corridors, Riders Lane is something that we can advance for that grant application funding. Our staff and consultants are working on putting that application together, and we'll be submitting that in the next month.
And when might the report be finalized?
So the project, the whole project with the road safety audits is wrapping up at the end of June, so that's when we have funding.
Great. I would just suggest it might be wise to schedule something in like 3 months after that to look back at the report, the recommendations, see what has been done, what's in process, and what hasn't been done, see what can be done so that these recommendations actually do end up becoming reality.
Charlie, let me just point out to you, you may realize this is really like the core mission of what the staff does and the board does, because these different types of safety recommendations, that was an excellent report, are what go into the consideration in every application that we approve. You don't see sometimes all the detailed data, but when folks come before us, we've always taken a very proactive position about getting as much sidewalk and bike lane and signal improvements and a lot of the things that were presented in that report from the developers who are coming in and building so the taxpayers don't have to fund that. Not necessarily those projects at this time on those streets, but that really is exactly what the planners are doing and the board is doing on a regular basis.
Got it.
I'd also like to add, Charlie, that the road safety audits put us in that sweet spot where we are ready to take the project to the next step. We are ready for design and engineering work on the corridor leading up to construction. So consider this the first step in procuring funding.
Great, yeah, it's great to see it. And yeah, I know some of these other roads that we're not able to get the audit done, you could do another batch of 5 more or 10 more, since this is obviously an approach that's working. Can I ask for an update on the Route 1 bridge connecting New Brunswick and Edison? I've asked in the past what the county's position is on it, and, if any comments are being submitted, and where the project's at.
I'll ask Mike Danviller from the Office of Planning to provide an update.
Hi, we're Mike Danviller, Supervising Engineer in the Planning Department. Charlie, we've been working with NJDOT. We forwarded a review, our comments to extend the sidewalks, connect to the neighborhoods, and make sure that that is continuous and accessible, and we asked them about bicycle accommodation on the proposed bridge. We forwarded what we could.
Waiting to hear back?
Oh, yeah.
Well, glad to hear it. A couple more questions. You might have seen a proposal for development in Monmouth Junction for a data center type project. I think these are, it's a land use that can be problematic, and I think that we've already got some. This would be one more, and there may be more applications coming. What is the county doing to protect residents and communities from land uses like this?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Charlie, I don't have an answer for what development you're specifically talking about, but as far as the county is concerned, the county has jurisdiction over the transportation aspects of development as well as the stormwater discharge and how that impacts the overall county stormwater. As far as the zoning and land uses are concerned, those are local municipal jurisdictional items, and so the municipality is directly involved in those. The county has little say in that.
Yeah, but thanks for clarifying that.
Thank you. Your time is up.
Oh, can I just make one last point?
You can address a point, but not a question.
Yeah, just a point. I just wanted to say that I do think we need better public transportation infrastructure and better coordination with other agencies like Rutgers and NJ Transit. Gosh, I wish we could have a coordinating committee where everybody can get together and do that stuff. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the public portion coming forward to speak? I don't see none, so can I have a motion to close the?
Motion to close the public portion.
Second.
Can I have a motion to close the public portion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Start. The last item of the meeting is adjourn the meeting. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.